Cider making in the 18th century was far more than making an enjoyable drink. It was about sustenance. Benjamin Franklin once wrote, "It is indeed bad to eat apples. It is better to turn them all into cider." To know when to pick, the cider maker must first taste the apple to see if it's sweet and ready for use. Once the desired flavor is achieved, farmers can start picking their apples and can use several methods to harvest their apples. First, the farmer can simply pick the apples that are growing within arm's reach. Then, they can employ several methods of shaking the tree to force the apples to drop, whether that be by hand or by a long bill hook to shake limbs that are far out of arm's reach. If the trees have been allowed to grow tall, like ours, a ladder can be used to climb the tree. Sometimes the best fruit is on these tall branches. So as not to bruise or damage the fruit by dropping it from a height, farmers could use baskets or buckets to collect fruit and safely lower it to the ground.
You like it again?
Once the fruit has been picked, it must be allowed to mellow for a period of several days. Mellowing is when the fruit is left out. This softens the fruit as well as develops sugars. The fruit now needs to be pulped, and this can be done in a number of ways. Historically, the fruit would have been put through a large grinder, quickly pulping the fruit in mass. Here at CI, we must do this by hand using a cudgel to smash the fruit, which can take some time. Once the fruit has been smashed, it must be pressed to extract the juice. Unfortunately, we don't have a historic press, so for this, I'll turn it over to my modern colleague, Matthew. Hello, Matthew.
Thank you, Jacob. Shall we pour the apples then into the press? Oh, whoopsie daisy. Poured a bit too much there. Let's try a spoon this time. Sorry to waste. First, we have to set in a bag to filter the freshly pressed cider. Historically, cider makers would use clean straw and a basket to filter cider. As the cider runs, we collect it in vessels. Roughly speaking, 16 pounds of apples will make 1 gallon of apple cider. The cider can be enjoyed right away or allowed to ferment to last through the winter. In her 1777 recipe for cider, Eliza Smith calls for 3 or 4 pounds of raisins into a hogshead and 2 pounds of sugar. She goes on to say, this will make it work better. Once fermentation is stopped, the cider can be bottled and enjoyed. Cider made in this method is only 2 to 3% alcohol by volume. It has just enough alcohol to preserve it, as well as making it safe to drink for several months after.
If you'd like to learn more about how people lived in the 18th century, come visit us at CI on any Friday or Saturday.